Whether you are a first-time moto camper completely unsure about what you need to take with you, or an experienced moto camper like me who is always forgetting something on every single trip, MotoCamp Nerd has the ultimate resource for you, and it is 100% absolutely free. It is the MotoCamp Nerd Moto Camping Pack List. You can find this on the website. I'll put a link directly to it in the description below. This is a multi-purpose checklist designed to help you make sure that you have everything that you need when you go motorcycle camping. It's a simple tool, but it's incredibly useful, and it's available as a PDF, which means you can use it digitally on your phone as a checklist. You can literally just check off the boxes, make a new copy for next time, or you can print it out like I have here, have it in your hand as you're going through your setup. It can also be used as a guide to think about gear that you either need to buy before you go out the first time, or additional things that you may need as you start to expand your setup. The list really serves two functions. One, it is a comprehensive overview of anything you might possibly need for motorcycle camping. You're obviously not going to take every single thing on this list with you on every single trip. But the idea here is to help you remember things that you need that might be often forgotten. For instance, you don't want to be sitting out in the woods in a comfortable chair, bleeding to death because you remembered your chair but not your first aid kit. This is a helpful resource whether you're doing a multi-day trip or a single overnight, whether it's your first trip or your 100th. It's super handy to have. So it's divided up really into two functions, but it's all sort of in the same list. So you'll notice the second line on the list is bolded items are the suggested bare essentials. So if a 3-page list, and it's 3 pages, it's comprehensive. MotoCamp Nerd Ben does not mess around. He's an engineer who considers every single consistency. That is his personality. He doesn't just throw crap in a bag and hope for the best like I do. But the bare essentials are in bold, and you can see it covers the 4 S's of motorcycle camping. Sleep, shelter, sustenance, and hydration. Yeah, it's a word, I just made it up. In bold, it's the most obvious, most important stuff. Tent footprint / tarp, sleeping bags, pad, pillow, water storage, headlamp, lantern, phone charger, GPS, PLB, which personal locator beacon can also include in InReach, some way to communicate in case of an emergency, first aid, toolkit, spare parts, and then snacks is on the last page. In terms of the 4 S's, it's shelter, tent footprint, sleeping bag, pad, pillow, sustenance, that's snacks, you should have some kind of food, and hydration, that's water and water storage. So if you just want to take those essentials, great. Start with that, throw them in your bag and go. If you want a list that you can look at every time to decide if you've forgotten anything, it's also great for that. So it includes additional things that are optional but super useful, like sleeping bag liners, blankets, hammocks, top quilts, rain flies, your riding gear, your camp clothes, underwear, socks, pants, shirts, beanie, and a toboggan, which I think he'll probably change before this goes live. Toboggan, which is another name for a toque? You Canadians are weird. Cooking gear, everything from stove to a food thermometer if you're paranoid about stuff. Spatula, spoon, tongs, knife, cutting board. Again, you're not gonna take all this, but it's stuff you don't wanna forget that's easy to forget. Your coffee maker, zip baggies are super useful. Water storage, stuff to wash. Your toiletries, there's stuff on here that I forget every time that I'm super glad is on this list, like bug repellent. I never think about bug repellents. Toilet paper, you always want to have toilet paper with you. Your medications, a bath towel is nice to have. Sunscreen, I forget sunscreen all the time. And then misc and luxury gear, camp chair, camp table. Obviously headlamp and lantern, but also your fire starting stuff, headphones, paracord if you like to screw around with bushcraft stuff like I do. If you want to film your trips like I do, another optional section that's great in here is photo, video, because I always forget things like chargers. You'd think as a professional, although I don't think of myself as a professional, I think of myself as an amateur that gets paid. But as someone who does this for a living, I wouldn't remember my chargers. I don't. And then the last page has got a food list, which is nice. Water, bolded, important, and then things like cooking oil, seasoning. I always get steaks, but forget to get anything to season them. And steaks are good, but they're even better with a little Montreal steak or some salt and pepper. Fight me. It's also got a meal planner, so I sometimes struggle to think about what I want to eat and cook every day. And so it's nice to be able to just sit down and make it concrete like this before you go to the grocery store or before you start raiding your own pantry, just to make sure that you have a meal or something planned for each meal that you plan on eating on each given day of your trip, whether that's 1 day or 5 days. Ben has put a lot of time and effort into this list. I just wanted to make this video to make sure that people are aware of this resource. I think it's a great resource. I know a lot of people are searching for moto camping pack list or moto camping gear list because I see that in my keyword research. And so this is free, available on the website, usable in multiple ways, whether you want to do it digitally or make a physical copy like this. And bonus, if you print it out, check it off, It's free fire starter. Yeah, you're welcome. So we've thought of everything here at Moto Camp Nerd. I'll link to the list. It's free to download. We'll encourage you to sign up for the mailing list so that you can be notified of all the awesome deals and stuff we have going on all the time to get it. So big shout out and thanks to Ben for putting this together. Moto Camp Nerd is a store that sells motorcycle camping gear, but Ben and I both really want it to be also a resource for you if you're trying to get into motorcycle camping. I remember what it was like to be a new motorcycle camper and not knowing and feeling kind of overwhelmed. And so not only the gear you need, but the resources and information you need to make informed decisions and have a successful first or 100th trip. We want to make that available to you. That is the point of Moto Camp Nerd. So pop over, check out the site, maybe browse some gear while you're there downloading the list, because Moto Camp Nerd has all the gear you need so you can pack small and camp easy. Also, bonus, Ben added so much crap on here, not because it's overwhelming and overkill, but because he wanted you to have 3 pages of fire starter, not just 2.